The Last Will and Testament of Severus Snape by Anna Hopkins. The envelope arrived 3 days after the battle ended. Heavy parchment, sealed with wax the color of dried blood. Hermione turned it over in her hands, watching dust motes settle in the weak afternoon light filtering through the burrow's kitchen window. Her name was written in handwriting she recognized instantly. Sharp, precise, unforgiving. She had seen it 1,000 times, scrawled across her essays in red ink. Each letter, a small act of controlled violence. Severus Snape was dead. Everyone knew this. Harry had told them everything, his voice hollow, his hands shaking as he described the memories, the silver threads of a life they had all misunderstood. And yet, here was this letter, this posthumous intrusion, demanding to be opened. Her fingers trembled as she broke the seal. The will itself was brief. Snape had owned almost nothing, a few books, some potion ingredients, the robes he died in. But attached to the legal document was something else, a letter. Not to her alone, she realized, as she read the salutation, but to all of them, to Harry, to Ron, to Neville, to everyone who had survived him without ever understanding him. I write this, it began, because silence, I have learned too late, is not the same as protection. The words pulled her down into a voice she thought she'd never hear again. He had started writing it 6 months before he died. This much became clear as Hermione read, her breath catching in her throat. 6 months before Nagini's fangs tore open his neck in the shrieking shack, Severus Snape had known he would not survive the war. He had known, and he had prepared this accounting, this excavation of his own guilt, with the methodical precision he brought to everything. But this was not a confession seeking absolution. That became clear quickly. Snape's prose carried the same acerbic clarity as his teaching voice, but beneath it ran something else, a current of exhaustion so profound it made the paper feel heavy in her hands. He wrote about the night he heard the prophecy, how he had run to Dumbledore, not immediately, not with the urgency of a man trying to save a life, but only after he understood what he had done. I went to him when I realized the Dark Lord would interpret the prophecy to mean Lily's son, he wrote, not because of Potter, because of her. Let us establish that clarity from the start. I have never pretended to be better than I am. Hermione's throat tightened. The honesty was brutal, surgical. He dissected his own motivations with the same merciless precision he had once used to critique her overlong essays. You will want to know if I regretted my choices, the letter continued. Which ones? I regretted them all, and I would make them all again. The letter moved through years, like a man walking through a house he'd lived in too long, pointing out the stains on the walls, the places where the foundation had cracked. Snape described the moment he agreed to kill Dumbledore, not the magical oath itself, but the conversation that preceded it, how Dumbledore had asked, his blue eyes still sharp, despite the curse blackening his hand. How Snape had said no. How Dumbledore had waited, patient as stone, until Snape understood. There was no other choice. He asked me if I cared for the boy, Snape wrote. Potter. I told him I cared for what keeping him alive meant. Dumbledore smiled. He always smiled when I said something that revealed more than I intended. Hermione set the letter down, her vision blurring. She thought of Harry, who had named his son after this man. Harry, who had called Snape the bravest man he'd ever known. But bravery she was learning from these pages. was not the opposite of cruelty. Snape had been cruel. He admitted it with an almost clinical detachment. He had terrorized students. He had targeted Harry with a viciousness that went beyond strategy, beyond protecting his cover. "I saw James Potter every time I looked at him," he wrote. "This is not an excuse, it is a fact. I saw the boy who had humiliated me, who had stolen the only person I ever loved, and I hated him for having his father's face. That I also spent 17 years ensuring he survived to fulfill his destiny does not erase what I made him feel in my classroom. Both truths exist. I have learned to carry contradictions. It is perhaps the only thing I learned to carry well." The emotional register shifted. The controlled bitterness gave way to something rawer. He wrote about Lily with a restraint that made every word feel like it cost him something. There were no grand declarations, no romantic fantasies. Instead, he described small moments, Lily laughing at something he'd said when they were 9. Lily's disappointment the first time she saw him use dark magic. The last time she looked at him after he'd called her that word. The slur he couldn't take back. I have been asked, in the hypothetical conversations I conduct with myself in the early hours of morning, whether I loved her or merely the idea of her, he wrote. The answer is that I do not know. I was a child when we met. I was a fool when I lost her. I was a murderer by the time I understood what she had meant to me. These transformations happened so gradually, I cannot locate the precise moment I became unworthy of even speaking her name. Hermione found herself crying, tears dropping onto the parchment, smudging words that had been written by a dead man who had never allowed himself tears. The letter described the night Lily died, how Snape had gone to Godric's Hollow after, how he had held her body while James Potter lay dead in the hallway, and the baby screamed upstairs, how Dumbledore had found him there. He did not pull me away, Snape wrote. He let me hold her until I was ready to let go. I have never forgiven him for that kindness. It would have been easier if he had forced me to release her. But the will was not just about Lily. It was about all of them. Every student who had passed through his classroom. Every young Death Eater he had failed to save. Every Order member who had died while he maintained his cover. He listed names. Michael Corner, whose parents were killed by Death Eaters, Snape had been forced to vouch for. Katie Bell, who had nearly died from a cursed necklace, Snape could have intercepted if he had known. Charity Burbage, murdered at Malfoy Manor while Snape sat at the table, his face impassive. I could not save them all, he wrote. This is not confession. This is inventory. You deserve to know the cost. The authorial control was precise, devastating. Each revelation built on the last, transforming what they thought they knew. Hermione began to understand that this letter was not about redemption. Snape did not want forgiveness. He wanted them to understand that heroism and monstrosity were not opposites, but companions, walking side by side through every choice he'd made. Near the end, the letter's tone shifted again. The restraint cracked. Snape wrote about the final year, when he was headmaster and Death Eaters roamed the hallways, how he had sent students to the Forbidden Forest with Hagrid instead of letting the Carrows torture them, how he had stolen gillyweed and dittany, sneaking supplies to those who fought, small acts of defiance that no one would ever witness. Potter believed, when he saw my memories, that he finally understood, Snape wrote. He understood a fraction. How could I show him everything? How could I explain that I hated him and protected him? that I despised his father and envied his capacity for love, that I saw Lily in his eyes and wanted to look away and never looked away. I died in the shrieking shack, the letter continued. The geography feels appropriate, a place for monsters and transformations. I gave Potter my memories because Dumbledore asked me to, because they were necessary, because I had nothing else to give. But they were not the whole truth. They were the truth arranged to serve a purpose. The whole truth is this: I do not know if I was good or evil. I know only that I chose over and over to serve something larger than my own anger. That will have to be enough. The final page contained instructions. The books were to go to Hogwarts Library, the potion notes to Slughorn, and then specifically, to Miss Granger, I leave my annotated copy of Advanced Potion Making. She will understand why her essays annoyed me. She was never wrong. She simply had not yet learned that being correct and being wise are not the same thing. Perhaps she will teach others this distinction. Hermione pressed her hand to her mouth. To Mr. Potter, I leave nothing material. He has already taken everything I had to give, but I ask him to remember this. Your mother died to protect you because she chose love over survival. I lived to protect you for the same reason. That we reached this conclusion through different paths does not diminish either choice. Tell your children, when they ask about me, that I was not kind. But tell them also that I kept faith. In the end, that was all I had. The letter ended without signature, without farewell. Just stopped, mid-page, as if Snape had looked up from his desk and decided there was nothing more to say. Hermione sat in the silent kitchen as shadows lengthened across the floor. She thought about the man who had terrified her, insulted her, and then died protecting everything she loved. She thought about how bravery was complicated, how love could be obsessive and selfless simultaneously, how a person could spend a lifetime atoning and never find peace. The will of Severus Snape was not a document of redemption. It was a map of contradictions, a testament to the possibility that a person could be both perpetrator and protector, that sacrifice did not erase cruelty, that heroism was often indistinguishable from self-destruction. She folded the letter carefully and understood finally what he had been trying to teach them all along, that the world was not divided into saints and Death Eaters, that real moral courage meant acting despite the impossibility of being pure. That legacy was not about being remembered fondly, but about whether, in the end, you had chosen love over comfortable hatred. Severus Snape had chosen, bitterly, resentfully, with no grace and no expectation of gratitude. But he had chosen. That, Hermione realized as the first stars appeared outside the window, would have to be enough.